done. Girls with their nails done.
Hey guys, this is Spectre from 2D and 2K Gaming, bringing you an in-depth tutorial about fatal blows, how they work, how to get more damage out of your fatal blows, and how to take less damage from incoming fatal blows. I will also be covering a bit of information about damage scaling and armor breaking. So at this point, everyone knows what a fatal blow is and how to do it. But there are a few hidden mechanics that the game does not explain very well, and you've probably seen them in action. I'm talking about the skulls and shields you sometimes see below the health bar during fatal blows. I'll break it down for you, but before we dive into things, I would like to ask you to drop a like and a sub. Not that kind of sub. That's more like it. Yeah. Anyway, let's go. First off, to help you better understand, here's the list of the default controls in MK11 for all major platforms, but today we will only focus on the forward kick, or more commonly known as free, because that's the only button we will be using during fatal blows. Now let's take a look at Scorpion's normal fatal blow damage and do a quick analysis. These are the numbers and we'll keep them on screen for the moment. As you can see, Scorpion does a total of 9 hits, including the initial hit, for a total of 310 damage. However, apart from the initial hit, all other hits can have their damage increased if you press the forward kick button right before each hit in the sequence. This means before the updated damage is displayed on the screen, you need to hit that key. If you press the button after the hit is registered, then it will not count. Timing the button press is essential, and the closer you are to the frame that the damage is being dealt, the more damage that hit will do. As you can see now, the red skulls appear as I press the button. And by comparison, you see that this can potentially make a difference between winning and losing a round. Now, there are a few things to note here. There are 3 levels of skulls that will visually represent how well you do on these timings. Level 1 increases the damage of the hit by 1. Level 2 increases the damage of your hit by 3, and level 3 increases the damage of your hit by 5. And yes, this is for each hit in the sequence. However, there are rules to this. The damage increase only adds up to the hits that are equal to or greater than 20 damage. Fast hits that do little damage, like Robocop Sentry Machine Gun that does 10 damage each, will not benefit from this. But back to our simpler example, all Scorpion fatal blow hits can be increased, and that means potentially 40 more damage for a total of 350 damage if you get all the timings perfectly. Bear in mind that during online play, you need to adjust your timings based on the ping you're experiencing in that match. And another important thing to note is that the damage increase does also scale down the more hits you add to the combo, but more on that later. Decreasing damage taken by fatal blows works exactly the same way, the only difference is that now you're on the receiving end. And I can't stress this enough, you need to press the forward kick right before each hit in the sequence. The closer you are to the frame the damage is being dealt, the less damage that hit will do. Now, instead of the red skulls, we see the golden shields being displayed. There are 3 levels of shields that will visually represent how well you perform on these timings. Level 1 will reduce the damage you take by 1, Level 2 reduces the damage you take by 3, and Level 3 reduces the damage you take by 5. Same rules apply, just the other way around. Let's bring back Scorpion's normal fatal blow damage and compare it with the one where we reduce the damage of the fatal blow. Instead of 310 damage, I took 287 damage from the fatal blow. It's not a huge difference, but every little bit counts. Keep in mind that each of Scorpion's fatal blow hits can have their damage reduced by 5, meaning that you could potentially take 40 less damage for a total of 270 damage if you get the perfect timing on every hit. As expected, the attacker will try to get more damage by hitting those timings, and when he succeeds, the skulls appear. At the same time, the defender will try to hit his timings in order to take less damage. When he succeeds, the shields appear. The numbers add up or are subtracted as exemplified here, so basically it all comes down to whoever hits the better timings, so practice makes perfect. Wow, you've made it this far. So, fatal blows and damage scaling. Okay, this is a little bit complicated, so bear with me. The damage scaling is basically triggered by two things: number of hits and amount of damage. Let me demonstrate. From our previous example, we know that the normal damage of a fatal blow is 310. Let's add just one hit that does 70 damage right before the fatal blow. The combo does 379 damage, so if we subtract the initial 70 damage, we notice that the fatal blow damage doesn't scale down that much, it's just -1 for the initial hit. Let's do a 90 damage hit into fatal blow. This causes the damage to scale down considerably. The combo does 361.20 damage, and when we subtract the 90 damage, we get 271.20 damage for the fatal blow. If you're doing single hit confirm into fatal, then if the first hit does 80 damage or more, then the damage of the fatal blow will scale down considerably. Make sure you use hits that do less than 80 damage in this scenario. If we do 2 hits that do a total of 48.5 damage, then the fatal blow damage begins to scale down, but not by a lot. The combo does 354.45 damage, meaning that the fatal blow does 305.95 damage in this case. This next one is interesting because we're doing 3 hits for 86.5 damage into fatal blow. We increased the number of hits and we went over the 80 damage threshold, and as a result the damage is scaled down so much that the combo itself does less damage than a regular fatal blow. The combo did 301.20 damage and the fatal blow did only 214.69. So things to take from this is that less is more. This means that it is preferred to do the least amount of hits that do the highest amount of damage within a combo, especially if you plan on using the fatal blow at the end of that combo. Check out this simple combo including the amplified spear. It does 412.91 damage. I'll do the same combo without the amplified spear, and look at that, it does 443.96 damage. So adding more hits does less damage? What? Yeah, scaling sucks. Let's take this string as an example right here, and we'll show the numbers on screen. Now I'm going to add an armor break in the mix right after the amplified hell port, right over here. What do you think will happen with the scaling for all the hits after the armor break? Is it A, damage scaling resets and all hits after the armor break do more damage? B, damage scaling doesn't reset and all hits after the armor break do less damage? C, he drops the combo like a noob? Or D, you subscribed and you're eager to learn more? I'll give you 5 seconds to type the answer in the comments. The results might surprise you. Got your votes down? Let's see if you were right. The correct answer was B. Unexpected, right? Yeah, I know. When you break armor, only the hit that breaks armor has its damage scaling changed. No matter how many hits or how much damage you do beforehand, Scorpion's armor break will always do 59.50 damage, which is slightly scaled down from 70 damage and equals to exactly 85% of the normal unscaled damage. All the hits that follow this armor break will take increasingly less damage due to an extra hit being added to the combo. Fun, right? Fatal blows break armor as well. In these longer combos you will see a huge difference between breaking armor and not doing so. Fatal blows are very special attacks. The entire string is treated as a single hit, which means that every hit in the string will do exactly 93.5% of the normal unscaled damage when breaking armor, regardless of how many hits or how much damage you did beforehand. So a fatal blow will always do the same damage when breaking armor. In Scorpion's case, that's almost 290 damage. I'll put the images side by side and you'll notice that when breaking armor with the fatal blow I did around 210 more damage with the combo. That's insane. That's about all I have for you guys today, but if you learned anything new from this video, I would highly appreciate it if you would drop a like and a sub on the channel. Timmy! You gotta talk to me.
I'ma have to fire my editor. Oh, you fixed it now, eh? Anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I challenge you to practice and find your most efficient combos without breaking too much of a sweat. See you next time. Much love.
Girls with their nails done.